It's the most wonderful time of the year. Hey there, it's Mitzi. Welcome to my channel. It is the most wonderful time of the year. I'm so excited. I get so excited about this. Victober is just my favorite thing about BookTube. It's the reason I started this channel. I love Victober. It is like the kickoff for me for the fall season, and then we go right into Christmas time, and it's just the best time of year. So I do think it's just the most wonderful time of the year here on BookTube. I love Victober, and I'm so excited to talk to you today about my to be read or my pile of possibilities for Victober. If you're not familiar with Victober, it is a month-long celebration during the month of October. That's why we call it Victober, of Victorian literature. And so Victorian literature is anything that was published during the reign of Queen Victoria in the United Kingdom. So those are the books that we read, and there are tons of books in every genre to fit everyone's taste. So whatever you like, whether it's mystery, there's a lot of great sensation novels, romance, high adventure, whatever it is that you enjoy, there is something for everyone. And so that's why I love this time of year, because it's so much fun, and there's so many people that come together and just celebrate this wonderful time when so much wonderful pieces of literature were created and some of our most famous writers were born. And so I just love this time of year. So this is hosted by several different booktubers, and I'll be talking about the booktubers as I go. I will also leave a link to their announcement videos as well as all of the prompts. There are several prompts. You don't have to fulfill any prompts. Just read something that was written, that's Victorian, that was written during the Victorian period from someone in the United Kingdom, and you have participated. There's a group read and several prompts, but again, you don't have to fulfill any prompts. Just read Victorian literature and you're in. It could be a poem, it could be more of a children's book or a play, whatever you want to try. I hope that you'll participate. So these are the things that I plan on reading for Victober. Now, first let me just say that there is a group read, and I don't have that book yet. I have ordered it, but I don't have that one yet. And that is The Way We Live Now by Anthony Trollope. I think this is a pretty chunky book. So I have ordered it. I don't have a copy. I'll try to leave a picture here. But as soon as that one comes in the mail, I think I'm going to go ahead and start it. There is a schedule to keep us on the same page as we read along during Victober, to read it in a month. But to me, it's so long, and I have several challenging books on my Victober TBR. So I think I might go ahead and just start it and get a little ahead just in case, and that'll give me a little wiggle room when Victober hits. But I am excited about that. I've only read one Anthony Trollope. That was The Warden. I read that last year for Victober, and I planned on picking up the next one in that series, but I haven't done it yet. So I'm excited to read another Anthony Trollope. But that is the group read. So if you want to just read along with us with that one, that would be a great choice. So the first challenge is Kate's challenge. Kate's challenge is to read a Victorian work featuring a stranger or an outsider. And when she was explaining this challenge, she mentioned this book. So I immediately said, yep, that's what I'm going to read, because I really wanted this one to fit a prompt. This was like something I was chomping at the bit to read, because I've read 2 Thomas Hardy just recently, and I wanted to continue with Thomas Hardy, and I already had this one on my shelf. That is The Return of the Native. So I'm really excited about this one. I have heard mixed reviews about Thomas Hardy. You know, I've heard that he can really grab your heart and just stomp on it. And there are a couple of books that I have not read that I know are going to be that way. But the ones so far that I have read, I read actually 2 or 3 this year, and then I read The Mayor of Casterbridge last year because that was our group read. That was my first Thomas Hardy, and I have loved every one that I've read so far. Now, they are not heartwarming, fuzzy feeling kind of books, but I do like his writing style. I don't know why, I guess because everybody says that he, tears your heart out. So I have been avoiding him forever. But after reading The Mayor of Casterbridge, now I don't know what it is about his writing. I'm trying to figure out what it is that I just love so much about it. So I am eager to try this one. Let me know if you've read this one. I don't think this one's too long. So it looks like it's a little over 300 pages, and I definitely want to get to this one. So the next challenge is Katie's challenge. Read a piece of Victorian new woman fiction. Now, I had no idea what that even meant. These people are so much smarter than me, and they have these terms, I don't even know what it means. But she did mention a play that I wanted to read this year, because I've been, every year I'll pick an Oscar Wilde play or short story or something to read, because the only novel that Oscar Wilde wrote was The Picture of Dorian Gray, and I love that. I have that novel, just that edition, on my shelf, but I also have his complete works in this slipcase. There's a bind up of his work, so I can always pick this up, and I try to every Victober pick something because they're shorter works that I can just work in. And the past year, I think the past 2 years, I have listened to one of the plays by Oscar Wilde. So I was excited when she said A Woman of No Importance would work for this challenge. So that's what I plan on doing for that one. Okay, the next challenge is Marissa's challenge. Read a Victorian work by an author who is new to you. And I knew exactly what I wanted to read for this one because one of you mentioned this book to me last year, and I found it and I've kept it, and I keep meaning to pick it up. But then as the summer went by, because I thought I was going to read it in the summer, but I had too much to do then. So I thought, I'm going to read this for Victober. I'm going to find a prompt or something to read this. And this is perfect because this is an author I have not read. So this will be new to me. This is a Welsh singer. Now, you can't tell anything, my little copy, but isn't it the cutest little book? I love the feel of this one. But this is called A Welsh Singer by Alan Rain. I think Alan Rain is a pen name. I think it was a female writer, and I think she used the name Alan Rain. A lot of the women writers during the Victorian period did that. But this one is one that one of you mentioned, and I really want to try this one because I am interested in Alan Rain. I've heard of Alan Rain's work, so I am interested in this one, and it fits perfectly. Okay, the next challenge is Petra's challenge. Read a Victorian first-person narrative. And I think she mentioned this too. Every time they would mention one, I was like, yep, got that one. I want to read it. And that is The Memoirs of Sherlock Holmes. Here's my copy. I have The Adventures of Sherlock Holmes, The Memoirs, and The Return of Sherlock Holmes in this beautiful set. I found this at a yard sale, and it's super cheap. And I like the look of this one, so I want to get to this one next. I read The Adventures of Sherlock Holmes last year, and so I want to read this one this year. And I have been going, my son has the DVD set of the TV adaptation of Sherlock Holmes played by Jeremy Brett. And I love those. But I have not watched the ones that are in this bind-up. I've only watched The Adventures of Sherlock Holmes, those short stories. So what I'm doing is, after I read the short stories, then I go back and watch the Jeremy Brett. They are mixed up. They're not in order, so I kind of have to find which one it is on the DVDs. But that's okay. I want to read it before I watch it. But I highly recommend the Jeremy Brett version of Sherlock Holmes. They are fantastic. And then the final challenge is Roz's challenge. Read a Victorian work in which class features strongly. And I immediately thought of Charles Dickens. I don't think there is anything that Charles Dickens has written that does not include something about the classes. There's a lot about social justices and the classes in his works. And I find him to be a wonderful writer. I love reading through his books. I have been challenging myself to read 2 Charles Dickens a year. And then I think what I'm going to do after I finish all the books, I don't have that many more to read. After I finish, I'm going to start trying to work in a reread every year of a Charles Dickens. So that's what my goal has been over the past few years. and I've been gradually making my way through Charles Dickens. One that I have not read, though, that I think would be good for this challenge, because it's not one of his super long ones, is Oliver Twist. I know I should have already read Oliver Twist. I know the story, but I don't think I know the story like this, because I've heard that the adaptations that they've made, the movies and things, are not exactly this book. Let me know in the comments. Don't give me any giveaways, don't spoil the book for me, but let me know if it is a little different, because that's what I've heard in the past. So I am interested in this one. I should have already read it. It's not as long as a lot of his other works. I have already read 2 books this year, Dombey and Son and Little Dorrit. So I wasn't going to read another one, but when she mentioned class, I had to read a Charles Dickens. So I thought this would be a good time to pick up this one. And then I also have a buddy read that I want to mention. Last year I read Lady Audley's Secret. It was a buddy read, and we had the best time reading that book. That is written by Mary Elizabeth Braddon. It's a sensation novel. If you like Woman in White and those kind of sensation novels, you'll love Lady Audley's Secret. It was a page turner. We had a ball reading that. And so as we were reading, well, when we finished up and we were talking about it, Gemma from Gemma Books mentioned that she was going to just get the whole bind up of everything written by Mary Elizabeth Braddon, which is like going to take her forever. So we said, well, we'll buddy read with you every year another Mary Elizabeth Braddon. So when we're in our 80s and 90s, we'll be still reading Mary Elizabeth Braddon every Victober, which is fine with me. I'm happy to do it. So what was so wonderful about this, though, I'm buddy reading it, by the way, with Nikki from Red Dot Reads and Gemma from Gemma Books. But what was so wonderful about it was Gemma sent us a message saying that Kate had a special book club this year, and it's the 1860s book club. Now, you can go over to Kate Howe's channel, and she announces it there for Victober. And what she wants you to do is to choose a book that was published in the 1860s, and then at the end of the month, in Victober, at the end of Victober, we're going to have a discussion sharing on a Zoom call all of the books that we read. And everybody can read whatever they want to, as long as it was published in the 1860s. So one of the books published in the 1860s is Aurora Floyd by Mary Elizabeth Braddon. So that's what we're going to be reading. Nikki, Gemma, and I are going to read Aurora Floyd by Mary Elizabeth Braddon. And I can't wait, because we had the best time reading Lady Audley's Secret last year. So that'll be a fun buddy read. Now, something else that I know this is a huge stack already, but something else that I did want to mention was last year I read a couple of nonfiction type books during Victober, and then also for Nonfiction November. I just kept it going. By the way, I think I'm going to do that this year. I love Victober so much, I'm stretching it out. So I usually read. The past couple of years, I've read a Charles Dickens in September to kind of get me ready. And then I just kind of, Nonfiction November, I usually pick up something Victorian for that too. So last year, for Victober, I read some of the Charles Spurgeon sermons. Charles Spurgeon was a famous preacher during the Victorian period, and I think he preached in London, so he was pretty popular in that area. And so I love Charles Spurgeon. I'm a huge Charles Spurgeon fan. I love his sermons, and there's mornings and evenings by Charles Spurgeon. This happens to be the morning by Charles Spurgeon. So the only difference is this one is every morning you read one of his little passages from one of his sermons, and there's scripture and a thought to go with it. And the mornings and evenings is pretty much a morning and an evening. That's the only difference in these books. But this one is the one I read last year, and I really enjoyed it. I think I might just pick it up, and I won't read the October ones, because that's what I did last year. But I will just start in the January, I think, and just read through some of them. I do that every now and then. I'll just pick this up and read one when I'm looking for something different to read. So I might pick this up. But I also have this book that my son picked up from a conference he went to, The Gospel Focus of Charles Spurgeon. So when my son went to the conference where Steve Lawson was speaking, he picked up this book for me and brought it back, and I haven't read it yet. So I need to get to this too, and this one's not that long. If I don't get to it, I could read it for Nonfiction November, but it's not long. Yeah, it's a little over 100 pages. So I should be able to squeeze this in too. And I have been wanting to get to that one. And since it's about Charles Spurgeon, who was a famous Victorian preacher, I thought I might try to squeeze this in. And then I also have this that I have meant to read, I think 2 years I've meant to read this. And this is A Victorian Family. I have all three here. There are 3 different books in this series. There is A London Child of the 1870s, A London Girl of the 1880s, and then A London Home in the 1890s. So I could try to squeeze in some of these during Victober as well. And then again, it could take me right on into Nonfiction November, because I always participate in Nonfiction November too. And so what I was thinking was, because I want to squeeze more out of my Victorian Victober than I usually do with just 1 month, I think I'm going to just have these going. I'm going to start them maybe now. I don't know. But I'm going to start them, and since there's 3 books here, you know, this could take me a little while. And start these starting now, working through Victober, on into Nonfiction November, and on it to Christmas. Who knows? But I think I'm going to just keep going with my Victober with some of this nonfiction. I did want to mention this little book that I read last year, My Dearest, Dearest Albert. This is Queen Victoria's life through her letters and journals. It's not all of the letters and journal entries. It's like a quick overview of that, and I really enjoyed this one. If you want just an overview and not get bogged down with every letter and journal entry, you might want to pick this one up, because this was a fun addition as well. Those are just a couple of nonfiction that I kind of wanted to include to kind of mix things up a little bit. I don't know what I'll get to and what will have to wait. I'm not sure. But again, I can continue on into November and December and just keep going, because I love Victorian literature anyway. So those are my possibilities for Victober. I think I am most excited for The Return of the Native, because I was wanting to read this anyway, not even for Victober. I just wanted to keep going with my Thomas Hardy journey, as well as this little book, A Welsh Singer, because I've never read anything by Alan Rain. So I think those are the ones that I am most excited about. Of course, I'm excited to read another book with Nikki and Gemma, because I loved reading with them last year, and I'm excited to read another one with them. But I am excited about everything on this list. The group read, the play, all of the things. I just love Victober. Are you participating? Please tell me that you are, that you'll pick up something, a poem, a short story, a play. Pick up something during Victober and participate along with us. I can't wait to hear what you're going to read. What is your favorite piece of Victorian literature? Let me know that in the comments. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon.